Welcome into FIU Football Weekly. Panthers coming off their bye week. Last time out, they lost to Western Kentucky 49-21, and now take on the Marshall Thundering Herd on Saturday. But, Coach, before we get to the Herd, looking back on that Western Kentucky game, didn't have Alex Magoo, a little bit, shorthanded in that one, but your thoughts on that game?
Well, the guys didn't quit. As I looked at the film, Western's a really good football team. We knew they were an explosive offense, and we knew that the offense fed off what the defense fed off what their offense does, and they played us well. They tackled us well, caused a few turnovers, and in the long run, I'm proud of our football team because they did keep fighting and kept playing all the way through 4 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, it also ends that gauntlet of probably the top 3 teams in the conference that you guys had to go through: Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. Didn't have Alex Magoo for that game. What's his status?
Well, day to day right now, he everybody knows that he had a broke wrist, but he has a cast that's been cut off now. It's below his elbow, so it's day to day. We'll just play it by ear and see how it goes.
Well, looking over now at Marshall, the upcoming opponent, they've been the class of Conference USA for so many years, struggling a little bit this year. I think some of it may have to do with the defense. They gave up 65 to Akron, 38 to North Texas and Old Dominion before last week beating Middle Tennessee, who lost their starting quarterback in Brent Stockstill. What have you seen from the film of the Thundering Herd?
Well, I was hoping I was going to watch the film and see a defense that had struggled, and you take them against last week against Middle Tennessee where they played well. They forced turnovers. They were again playing against the backup quarterback, but they did some good things on defense, and which gave their offense a chance. And their offense moved the ball and scored 42 points. So we got our work cut out for us.
One number that I like going into this game, FIU-wise, is their defense allows 194 rushing yards per game, and your offense is predicated on establishing that run to take some pressure off the passing game. Your thoughts on the Marshall run D?
Well, we're going to have to run the football. Without Alex in the game full time, we're going to have to run the football, and it's what we're built to do. We're going to have to be able to throw it. I know they're good coaches, so they'll put one more in the box than we can count, which is going to make our young quarterbacks have to throw the ball too. So we're going to do whatever it takes to try to get it done.
Last 3 weeks, when you've gone against the offenses of the opponents, there have been stars on those offenses. This week, there aren't any eye-popping numbers in the Marshall offense, but they seem to be very efficient, starting with quarterback Chase Litton. What have you seen from the Herd's offense?
Chase is, a 2-year starter. He started on that offense last year at quarterback. That was very potent. It moved the ball. He's lost a couple of weapons at wideouts, but they did some things differently against Middle Tennessee. They put a tight end in the offense. So we don't know whether they're going to come spread us out. We don't know whether they're going to come in 12 personnel and use 2 tight ends, but it helped them out last week, so I think they'll try to do what they did against Middle.
That's Coach Ron Cooper. Panthers and the Herd, 7 o'clock Saturday from FIU Stadium. We'll step aside for a moment and come back with linebacker Anthony Wint.
Sportsmanship is an important tradition for Conference USA members.
It means being a role model for the next generation.
Giving it everything you got.
But always respecting your competition.
Supporting your teammates, no matter what the situation is.
And representing your school and team with grace and dignity. In the classroom, on the field,
in the community,
and wherever life takes you. Show your CUSA pride all day through good sportsmanship.
Welcome back to FIU Football Weekly. Our guest this week, Anthony Wint, linebacker for the Panthers. And, there was the bye week the past week. I guess you had about a week to reflect on it. Just talk a little bit of what you thought or what you saw from that Western Kentucky game.
West Kentucky is obviously a good team, one of the class teams in this conference, and we came out hoping to win the game, obviously, and I feel like obviously they were the better team that day, and they pulled away a little. Throughout the game, and something I just saw from my guys, we just kept fighting, having guys out and stuff like that, but the offense kept fighting, defense kept fighting, and we didn't lay down, and it's something we can hang our heads on and move on with.
Yeah, that's pretty much ends the gauntlet that you guys had against probably the top 3 teams in the conference this year, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, and then Western Kentucky. What can you take away? Obviously the game got out of hand probably mid-first quarter, early first half, but what could you take away from that game, the final 49-21?
Just guys fighting. We've always been down a couple of games this year, and this team has a lot of grit to them, and they don't give up. We could have easily let the game go further than what it was, just like we did last year. But guys kept fighting. I feel like that's something we can build on from here on.
Well, to build on that, now you guys back in action this week. You got Marshall, which is pretty much over the years been the class of Conference USA. They're having a down year this year. You've watched a little bit of film on Marshall. What have you seen from the Thundering Herd?
They're a very good team, and with a good quarterback who knows how to take care of the ball. And I think through the past game, if we watched a little bit more, they like to run the ball a little more, and that's something with every team we have to do is stop the run. And we do that, our team would carry with that.
Do you see any similarities from the Marshall team you played last year up in Huntington, West Virginia, and the team that you've been seeing on film?
They run a couple of the same run schemes, and like I said, running the ball. And obviously they have a lot of players coming back, like the quarterback who's really good, and a couple of old linemen.
Well, you're finishing up your junior year, and a lot of guys say, I don't care about the stats, I don't care about the numbers, but I think you're in pretty good company now. 226 total tackles. That is 10th all-time in FIU history, and you passed a pretty good guy, and Antoine Barnes, who was the first NFL draft pick from FIU. Yeah. What do you think about that? I mean, you're up 2 on him, and your next target's Toronto Smith, who was a very good player in his own right. He's at 233. Could you reflect on that?
Yeah, like you said, stats is not really something we carry on. I think I saw it on Twitter from you guys or something like that, but I couldn't do it without my teammates. Our defensive line has done a really good job of taking on double teams this year. Trayvon Williams has done a good job of bouncing the ball or spilling it towards me when it's time for him to do that, and me making plays, and our safeties cleaning it up. So just being comfortable enough to go and make those plays, knowing I have good safeties and linebackers and defensive linemen around me so that I can take more risks and stuff like that.
Of course, Barnes was part of the Killer Bees here at FIU with Keon Vespucci and Alexander Bostic. You ever had a chance to meet Antoine Barnes?
Barnes, no, but Bostic came through and talked to a bunch of defensive players one time. I believe not too long ago. I can't say that.
It was either earlier this year or earlier last year. What was his message to you guys?
Just to keep pushing. He talked about his team and how together they was when he was playing, and a little bit about his life and what he's doing now, and just life about after football and stuff like that, and how you grow into a man and stuff like that.
Fast forwarding past football, we don't want to go too far ahead because you still got another year, your senior year, and I'm sure you want to try to play football professionally. But you've gotten involved in a referee type program, or you're a referee. Explain that a little bit to the fans watching in.
Yeah, coming in my freshman year, a bunch of guys on the team were supervisors for IM leagues for FIU, and then I came out and tried out as a referee. I ended up doing very well in basketball and football, and I just carried it on from there. I do sports, like I said, basketball, football, soccer, soft pitch, softball, volleyball, really any sport you can name, and I just got promoted to a supervisor, so that's something that's really caught my eye, and I mean, wherever life leads me, that could be one of my spots in the future.
And IM is intramurals, right?
Intramural,
okay.
Yes.
Now, you've refereed all these sports, is that what you're saying? So you've had to learn a bunch of rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you have a more of an appreciation for the officials now that when you play on Saturdays after you've done this?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's a lot of pressure, especially with basketball and football, with the calls being so close sometimes. And, I mean, you're going to lose either way. I mean, if you call it one way or if you call it the other, somebody's going to be mad at you. So you just got to maintain your neutral and just call a good game and try to have fun. I mean, because the way they teach it is 2 teams, 3 teams. There's the other team, one team, the other team, and then the referee. So we've built a lot of unity with that, and that's something I take a lot of pride in.
What is it? Anything that you learned, or what appreciation have you gained from being the zebra guy as opposed to the guy being playing on the field?
Just the amount,
or something different that you maybe didn't think of, that a ref has to go through.
Yeah, just the amount of respect that they need because it's a really hard job, and you get a lot of mouthing from both sides, and just doing your job. There's a lot of attention to detail. It's a lot of attention to detail with football, but even more attention to detail to officiate football, and that's something I took away from it. So I give them a lot of respect.
That's Anthony Wint. Thanks for joining us, Anthony. Next week we'll come back and look ahead to Old Dominion and go over the Marshall game.